If you're an IELTS student and the word economy makes you nervous, relax. This video is going to help you become a confident speaker when talking about the economy. Hello, this is Keith from the Keith Speaking Academy. So in this video, I'm going to help you become a confident speaker when talking about the economy. I'll go over some essential words that you need to know and then some really useful phrases so that you can face the IELTS examiner with confidence. The great thing about this is it's going to help you not only with your IELTS speaking, but also with your IELTS writing. The other great thing, can I say that? Okay, the other great thing about this is that even if you're not preparing for IELTS and you just want to improve your daily conversational English, this is going to help you. Lovely, let's get stuck in. So, what is the economy? Before I define it, let me talk about English. When we talk about the economy, we always use the word the, right? Economy always has an article, right? The economy. What's more, the becomes the. The economy, because economy begins with a vowel sound. When a word begins with a vowel sound, the becomes the. The economy. The apple, right? So, definitions in very simple terms. The economy is the financial state of a country. It's how well we are doing organizing our money and our resources, like people and things. So basically, if there are plenty of shops making and selling things, and people have enough money to buy those things, the economy is doing well. That's it. That's all you need to know. Really simple. Now, I know probably there are some economists watching this, economists, right? And thinking, oh, that's not quite right. I'm making it simple to make it understandable. Feel free, give us a comment and give us the real description or definition of the economy, right? So the noun, the economy, is that. There's another noun, economics. Economics. So notice this change in stress, right? We've got economy is the financial state of the country, and economics is the subject. At university, you can study economics, right? It's the study of the economy. Okay. Now, don't worry if this is still a little confusing. Actually, it reminds me, in English, when you don't understand something or it's confusing, you can say, it sounds Greek to me. Why is it Greek and not French or Spanish? I don't know. It sounds Greek to me. We also say, Keith, you're talking double Dutch. Double Dutch. Dutch is the language from Holland, right? You're talking double Dutch. Don't worry, things will get clearer. A tip, if you are taking the IELTS speaking test, and if you're not really confident about this topic, but you will be at the end of the video, but if you're not, you can show off your English a bit and gain time by saying, I'm not an expert on this, but I think. Or even better, this is not my field of expertise, but I think. Or, yeah, I have a limited understanding of economics, but I think. Or, my grasp of economics is not great, but I think. Right? Lovely little phrases you can use. Great. Let's move on and talk about good economies and bad economies. Okay, so if the economy is going well, right, meaning it's in a good financial state. We can use the present simple to describe the economy now, right? We can say, we have a robust economy. Robust meaning strong. Okay. You can describe what the economy is doing right now using the present continuous. Okay. The economy is booming. Put the stress on the boom. The economy is booming. Booming meaning it's growing, getting bigger. We can also describe a recent change in the economy using the present perfect. We could say, there has been an upturn in economic growth. Okay, there has been, present perfect. There has been an, we would say, there's been an. There's been an. There's been an upturn in economic growth. Can you say? Nice. Split it into two. There's been an upturn in economic growth. Lovely. Very, very good. Okay. Now, on the other hand, if the economy is going badly, again, we can use the present simple to describe it now. We can say, we have a stagnant economy. Stagnant just means stuck, right? Or not moving. Normally, we use this for water, stagnant water, which is water that isn't moving and often smells bad, like the water in a well or in a pond. So here, idiomatically, we're describing the economy that it's not going well, right? We have a stagnant economy. The shops aren't selling goods. The people aren't buying. Not good. You could also say the economy is really slow at the moment. So as well as being bad, it can be slow. The economy is really slow at the moment. In addition, we can use the present continuous to describe what is happening, right? We could say, we are heading for a recession. To be heading for, or to head for, to go towards, a recession is where the economy goes down, nothing's working, prices are too expensive, nobody's got any money, it's all doom and gloom. A recession. So we are heading for a recession. We can also use the present perfect to describe that recent change. So we could say, there has been a downturn in economic growth. Okay. Remember, there has been an, there's been an, there's been an, there's been a downturn in economic growth. Two phrases. There's been a downturn in economic growth. Put it all together. Repeat with me. There's been a downturn in economic growth. Now we're cooking. Nice. Very nice. Let's move on. Now we're going to look at some essential economic terms. Terms just means terminology, right? Words. First of all, inflation. Inflation. Inflation is the increase in the price of goods and services. Simple as that, right? Normally, it's a percent, like 10%. We talk about the rate of inflation, is how fast or how much the prices are increasing. The rate of inflation, I think now in England, it's 10%. It's very, very high. You can also say the inflation rate, the rate of blank or the inflation rate. There are other rates as well. We've got the unemployment rate. Unemployment, employment is having a job. Un is not. So not having a job. So it's how many people don't have a job. How many people are out of work. Nice collocation, out of work. So the unemployment rate, again, is often a percentage. In some countries, the unemployment rate is 30% amongst young people. Okay. So I think the unemployment rate is the number of people without a job divided by the number of people in the working population. Working population or labour force. The labour force. That's people available to work. Good collocations. Make a note of these, right? There are other rates. There's the interest rate, which is how interested you are in this video. And no, of course not. I'm pulling your leg. The interest rate is nothing to do with how interested you are. It's how much money you have to pay back to the bank on your loan. So a loan is money that you borrow from the bank. And of course, when you give it back to the bank, you have to give them more. I know, right? What's that all about? Banks making money. That's the interest rate, is how much more money you have to give them back. So the interest rate has been rising, right, over recent years, at least in Europe and the USA. And another very, very useful acronym is GDP. Stands for Gross Domestic Product. So an acronym is where you take the first letter of the word, GDP, Gross Domestic Product. And again, this is normally a percentage, like the GDP in the UK last year was, I don't know, 2% maybe. I think China has had one of the highest GDPs in recent years. And so it's the gross domestic product, which is basically the total value of the goods produced in a year in a country or in an economy. Okay, great. GDP, gross domestic product. I remember, I think it was Bhutan. There's a country that was famous because it changed gross domestic product to gross domestic happiness, which they felt was more important, or at least as important as what we're producing. Yeah, I would tend to agree. Let's move on. Right, let's look now at things going up and things going down and how we describe that in English. First of all, things going up, like your excitement as Saturday gets closer. Things going up. We can say to go up, we can talk about, let's see, GDP, remember? Gross Domestic Product. GDP has gone up to 6%. The gone up to 6%. GDP has gone up to 6%. GDP has gone up to 6%. We can also say GDP has risen to 6%. GDP has climbed to 6%. GDP has increased to 6%. If it's gone up a lot, we can say GDP has rocketed to 6%. Or GDP has soared to 6%. GDP has shot up to 6%. Notice as well the difference between to and by. If it's risen to 6%, that's the final percent. If it's risen by 6%, that's the change in the rate. Okay. Now, two nice expressions here. One of them is to go through the roof. Go through the roof, that's the roof, which means to go extremely high, right? We can talk about inflation has gone through the roof, or the unemployment rate is going through the roof. The second expression is to hit an all-time high, which means to be the highest ever in all time. So you'll hear journalists and politicians using this a lot because it's very exaggerating. Yes, inflation has hit an all-time high, or the unemployment rate has hit an all-time high. Okay, nice expressions. Let's move on and think about, not just think, but talk about things going down, right? Maybe like your motivation as the test gets closer and closer. Things are going down. We can say, of course, GDP has gone down to 6%. Remember, 2 is the final percent. If we say GDP has gone down by 6%, that 6% is the change. We can also say GDP has fallen. GDP has decreased. It has declined. It has dropped. And if it's gone down a lot, we can say it has slumped. Or it has plummeted. Lovely words. Slumped. Plummeted. Nice words. And of course, you can use those expressions like the going up one, like it has hit rock bottom these days. GDP has hit rock bottom these days. It's a very, very low rate. Very, very low rate. Or it is at an all-time low. Excellent. Nice expressions. Great. So although this is not your field of expertise, maybe, I hope now you feel more confident to speak a little bit about the economy, at least to understand the basics, to have some useful phrases and the essential terminology you need to talk about the economy. Excellent. If you've enjoyed this video, please do subscribe to the channel, English Speaking Success, turn on notifications, and listen, if you are preparing for IELTS or you just want to improve and develop your speaking skills, go and check out my website, the Keith Speaking Academy, and you'll find free lessons and information about the test and basically every topic under the sun. You'll find a free lesson there, I think. Go and check it out, keithspeakingacademy.com. And great, I will see you in the next video. Take care, my friend. Bye-bye.